introduce you. A man who really needs no introduction these days. He is unwittingly quite famous in Tulsa, occupational hazard, spending lots of time talking to the public, to the media, as we have tried to navigate this incredible crisis. But his classmates with Leadership Tulsa Class 48 would definitely give me a hard time if I failed to mention he is a graduate of Leadership Tulsa and that program. So with that, Bruce, I think the way we're going to do this is you were just going to bring us up to date on some current happenings, and then we'll do some Q&A. I've written down quite a few questions that I had, but I'll be taking additional questions from the chat thread since we have a lot of people on the call. Taking questions from the chat thread is the most efficient way to do that. So I'll be moderating that. So Bruce, I'll just turn it over to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Wendy, and thanks everybody on the call today. And I love the fireplace in the background there. So we'll focus mostly on vaccine distribution today, but just as a little background, we set up Incident Command back in March 9th, 2020 for the response. And we had our first case, as you may recall, on February 6th of 2020. But the Tulsa Health Department actually began monitoring travelers way back on February 7th, 2020. So we've been in this almost a year now. And currently we're operating COVID testing sites twice a week. We have a phone bank going 5 days a week, strictly dedicated to COVID. We're still doing our epidemiological case investigation. Of course, we're operating a vaccine distribution site 5 days a week. So right now, as of a couple days ago, we've been allotted 93,575 doses of vaccine from the state. Of course, that allocation is made up of both first and second doses. And as I'm sure everyone knows by now, the second dose is administered 21 days after the first dose if you receive Pfizer vaccine, and 28 days after the first dose if you receive Moderna vaccine. As of a couple of days ago, this is the most recent numbers I've got, we've given 61,744 vaccinations in Tulsa County, a combination of first and second doses, primarily first doses though, and which is 66% of our allocation. And we've caught some flack because some Tulsa area residents have gone outside of Tulsa County, receive their shots, but out of that 61, almost 62,000 shots we've had over 10,000 people from outside Tulsa County come here. So it's very much a two-way street of people traveling all over the place. So in Tulsa County, we get the vast majority of the vaccine comes to the health department, but there have been some direct shipments to other partners here in Tulsa County. Our two federally qualified health centers, Morton and Community Health Connection, get a direct shipment. Warren Urgent Care, Clinic Urgent Care, and OSU have gotten direct shipments. We ourselves, the health department, has received about 71,945 vaccine doses ourselves. And the vaccine that THD has received our share with our local hospital systems to vaccinate priority groups, and we're all aware, I think, of what those priority groups are, determined by the state. And approximately 65% of that vaccine has been given to partners, our larger healthcare systems, surgical hospitals, approved and other approved vaccine providers, and additional vaccines that are directly shipped to these providers. We don't have all the information on what goes to direct providers, and we're hoping to get that through the state system eventually. According to the Oklahoma State Immunization Information System, or OSIS, as we call it, THD has administered close to or over 17,000 vaccines, including over 3,000 second doses. Therefore, about 14,000 prime doses have been given just by our department alone. And then since mid-December, when that vaccine was first available to the state, we've been managing the COVID-19 vaccine inventory here to ensure that those that receive their first dose will get their second dose. And that's really following the FDA guideline of ensuring that people are fully vaccinated. And recently you heard that we had some conversations with the state health department, and our concern a few weeks ago, we heard that there was no second doses available nationally. So we were very strict about holding back the second dose to ensure that everyone got that second dose. Had some great conversations with the state, had some conversations with the White House, being assured that those allocations are coming, that we will, no matter what, will receive second dose. So we've released quite a few of our booster second doses as first doses, so we get more vaccine in arms and basically get more people into our vaccine clinics. So you know, we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to increase our numbers. Our pods themselves, just us alone, we're doing about 1,200 vaccines a day. We can ramp up to 2,000 a day when the vaccine becomes available. So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have more than 5,000 people receive their shots as well. So, and bottom line is that as these vaccine supplies have been increasing, we've made, you know, as I said, we've really made, it's been a logistical shift. And hopefully those allocations will keep coming. The White House indicated that they're going to dig deeper into the manufacture and development and distribution of vaccines, and they're going to create a system to actually track those second dose allocations. So we feel pretty confident that there'll be vaccine here. They've ordered another 200 million to have over 600 million doses out and into the country by fall. So, you know, the news is very encouraging. We know that we have variants now, and still learning really about the effectiveness of the vaccine against the variants. We also know that Johnson & Johnson is close to ramping up and distributing a single dose vaccine. That single dose right now is about 85% effective. The other two vaccines are close to 95% effective. So, but just to have a single dose vaccine, it will allow us to, it's so much easier to give people one dose as opposed to two, have people coming back. And so right now people go through the vaccine portal, the state portal, and that's a state tool to get their vaccinations scheduled. I know there's been lots of issues with getting vaccines scheduled, and you know, with the over 65 age group, we're really happy. We've got, you know, Pam Ballard at 211, Eileen Bradshaw at Life Senior Services have really helped those elder individuals who don't have access to internet, don't have email addresses, get registered. So we've struggled with that, but we're, I think, making great strides to ensure that our current group, which is 65 and over, gets vaccinated. And you know, the state health department, you know, they made a request to all counties that, you know, whenever we get allocations, we burn through that first dose every 7 days. And so far, up to this point, with the shipments that we receive that are sent to us, both prime and boost dose, we've administered 100% of our first dose or prime dose within 7 days. So, and typically, you know, there's been a lot of, I think, confusion about when the appointments open up. Typically, we're notified by OSDH midday on Wednesday of what our allotment will be for the following week. Our logistics team, we then strategize our storage timelines and administration based on number of doses and type of doses, and a schedule is determined and entered into the portal, typically starting Wednesday evenings. I've been telling people to start Wednesday about 6 o'clock, going in and go all the way till 10, because it takes us a while. We get the allotment later in the day. We're here till 9 or 10 o'clock at night, deciding what the schedule will look like and how those appointments can be released. So our next shipment, which is arriving around February 2nd, we're estimating, we're expecting to receive close to 19,000 doses, about 18,700. And there'll be a combination of first and second doses. And at our pod, we'll be vaccinating 11,900 individuals next week. And that's first and second doses, and the additional doses will be distributed amongst healthcare partners to also administer to the community. And we're shifting and expanding, you know, our mass vaccination so that we have some weeks, bottom lines, that we might have a higher dose of second doses as opposed to first doses. But you know, as we have to have scheduled doses, we have some weeks we'll just be second dose heavy. At our clinic, if you receive your first shot at a THC clinic, we will schedule your second dose there, and you don't have to go back to the portal. Just come back on your either 3 weeks or 4 weeks from your first dose, bring your vaccination card, and we've got you on the schedule, and you'll get your second dose. So that's a really abridged version of what's going on. As I say, we have ramped up, and you know, just to brag a little bit, you know, in the past 2 weeks, for example, we've given 5,000 more doses than Oklahoma City. So, we're doing our best with all of our partners. The healthcare systems have been amazing partners. Also, there have been 253 providers in Tulsa County sign up to the federal registry to be vaccine providers and distributors. Once we have increased allocations, those individuals will receive direct shipments, so that we're eventually, once allocations are available, we're going to have the ability to be vaccinated all over Tulsa County, not just with our short list that we have now. And those are the days that we're really looking forward to. So pharmacies get it, urgent cares get it, private providers get it, and we can really ramp up distribution and get vaccine out quickly. So, we're continuing to learn more and more about the variants. The bad news is that they seem to be a much more efficient transmitter, as if COVID-19 was an efficient transmitter all by itself. And we're still learning more about just what the effectiveness of the vaccines will be on these variants. Right now, the science is telling us that we have a certain degree of effectiveness, anywhere between 75 and 85%, but this virus has been very opportunistic. Viruses mutate. That's why the flu virus is different every single year. And in order for us to stay ahead of COVID virus, the science is going to have to keep up with the variants, and vaccines will have to also include strains to the variants as well, which is why I see happening in the future. Just like it does for flu. You get your flu shot, you got usually 3 to 4 different viruses within that shot. I suspect in the future we'll see something like that with COVID-19. So that's my spiel, Wendy. I'm happy to answer any questions that might come up.
Yeah, we've got a few in the chat thread. Some are direct messages to me, and then I've got some too. So my first question has to do with the fact you mentioned early on that Tulsa people are going out to get their shots elsewhere. Some people are coming to Tulsa. Is the demand in Tulsa higher than in other parts of the state? Not just a matter of population, but more people in Tulsa wanting it. And then we have a specific question from someone who got their shot in another place. So you have said very clearly that if you get your first shot in Tulsa, you'll be scheduled for your second. They want to I paused for a minute. I hope you could still hear me. Do they have to go to the same place they got their first shot, or can they get their second shot in Tulsa?
So right now, we're asking people to go back to where they got their first dose. Eventually, we're hoping that we'll have enough extra vaccine where if you got your dose someplace else, we can give it to you here. But right now, when we start giving out those first doses, our second doses are held, that we have, they're committed to that first dose arm. So at this juncture, we don't have extra doses to give out to people that went other places. So, conversely, if you live someplace else, you came to Tulsa, we're asking you to come back here as well to receive your second dose. Now, if people aren't doing that, we might find that we'll have extra doses, but at this juncture, that hasn't been happening.
Great. I want to let people know my internet appears to be a little unstable, but hopefully it'll stick with us. Do you have any sense when the next group will open up?